Hey everybody, James and Tammy. We're running into town to go get some goat's milk for our babies. So we thought we'd do a quick video. Blah 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 blah. Mercedes Canala says, my Frenchie was abandoned, so I don't know anything about the parents. Could she still get fully registered? Well, the only way, and we talk about the AKC here, the only way that you can get a dog AKC registered is if you have the litter registration for your dog, and that means that the person who produced her, the stud and the dame owner, they have to have filled out the litter registration, and they have to have AKC dogs themselves. So without that, you're not getting it done, unfortunately. Jamelin says, what age do you give the first baths? Tell me, what age do we give first baths to puppies?
Wait as long as possible, but when they get sticky and dirty, you can give them a nice little quick bath.
Exactly. So we typically
at least 4 weeks old.
Yeah. So typically our regular length puppies, we don't hardly bathe them at all, do we? Because Mum cleans them up and it's not a problem. But the problem with the fluffies that we have at the moment is because of their longer hair, they get in the food and it kind of get embedded into their fur, and Mum doesn't get that cleaned off. So we have been giving baths for that reason. And what do we use for the baths? We use Johnson's baby shampoo, which is really safe stuff, and we don't get it on their faces. And you've got to be careful that we did a video on this, so you can look at the video, but you want to be careful that they get dried off properly. Even after you've dried them off, they can start shivering, so just be careful about that, because you'd be surprised. Little puppies are pretty fragile. And then she asks also for the starter mousse, do you mix goat's milk into it? What do you do on that, Tammy?
Do what now?
The starter mousse. We've been feeding starter mousse. What do we do with that? We use goat's milk, don't we?
Oh yeah, goat's milk only.
And we make a kind of a gravy out of it. Yeah, make a pretty thin gravy.
When they're first starting out, it's a real thin, watery gravy.
Yes. And in the past, we've used actually puppy kibble, and mix that with either goat's milk or warm water, and let it sit for, 30 minutes?
Warm water, yeah. Not with goat's milk. It takes it longer to soften up the dog food.
Anthony Warren says, I'm sorry, but these are not purebred French Bulldogs. Okay. Well, let me ask you this question. If you had 2 French Bulldogs that were both fluffy carriers, so they would look not like fluffies, right? AKC status, maybe both of them have been in the show ring and been champions, right? And then they put them together and 1/4 of the litter of full fluffies. Are those full fluffies not French Bulldogs and the other ones are? You have to answer that one, because I know the answer, right? If you're gonna say any of them are French Bulldogs, they're all French Bulldogs. So this is all part of it. Lisa Myers says, curious, why do you wait 2 days between breedings? Thanks in advance. Well, a couple of reasons. The first one is that you want to give the stud dog some time to recover. So if you pull from a stud dog twice, for instance, the same day, the second collection is going to be really not very good at all. He might produce, but the semen count will be low. And if you do it the next day, his semen count won't be as good. If you wait 48 hours, his semen count will be back to normal. And then another reason for waiting to do it the AI 2 days apart is because it gives you a bigger coverage window. So we never quite know when's exactly the right time to breed a dog. So rather than doing it just 2 days together, if you go 2 days apart, you've increased your coverage window to actually really 5 days. Listen to this one, Tammy. Samantha Smith says, 10-day-old puppies, little blisters under their neck. What could it be, please?
Blisters under the neck?
Yes. What do you think?
I don't have a clue.
So, you can get what I would call bumps on their head, which is typically folliculitis or an infected hair follicle. And that's medicated shampoo, or if it's bad enough, it's considered a staph infection, then you give antibiotics like Clamomox. Another reason might be have fleas and they're scratching like crazy, and a dog could scratch its neck.
They're 10 days old. They're not.
Yes.
The only thing I can think of is Mama's hair is coming back in after being shaved for the C-section. and they're getting from their milk and crawling around, and the hairs that stuck under their
So
neck.
we're at a bit of a loss here, then, aren't we?
Yeah.
Well, look, here's the deal. If it gets worse, time to go to the vet. I think that's always the true on any of this stuff. If you listen to our stuff and what we're telling you doesn't help
and
or
then
doesn't
Google
get
it too.
yeah, and it doesn't get better, then I think the next exactly. Google it's a good
Google
start.
it and call your vet.
Call your vet, exactly.
Hang on to that.
Dakota asks if I have a female off a merle male to a chocolate tri-female to a male who has a merle parent and a chocolate tri-parent, will I get merle pups? Well, look, here's the first thing. Remember that merle dogs should only have one copy. If they've got two copies, they likely have some problems like deafness and blindness. So you never breed a merle to a merle. So if it's all done right, all merle dogs have a single copy, which means that when they have puppies, on average, only half the puppies end up with a merle gene. The ones that don't look merle are not merle and have nothing to do with merle and can't produce merle puppies themselves. So in this case we're talking about here, if neither of the parents look merle, you're not getting any merles out of it. So I think that's the short answer to that one. Robust Bullies says, have you seen any correlation between large litters in females that have a slow rise to progesterone? If they have a longer stage in ovulation, would that mean a longer, larger release of eggs? So that's an interesting question there. The answer to that one is no. I have not seen any correlation on that. I haven't really thought about this, but I don't think that... I think that basically when a dog produces eggs, that they pretty much all happens at the same time. I don't think it takes days and days and days, but I might be wrong about that. So, interesting question, and I honestly don't know. Other people might weigh in on that. Since I haven't seen anything on this, I suspect there's not much information out there on it, but I might be missing the boat on that one. June Boom says, I bred my girl on 15.4 and waited 2 days and did an AI. Was I too early? No, you were on the money. So, because it depends on where you live, and if you're in England or Europe, then it might be that this is measured in nanograms per mole, in which case you'd be 2 days early. But assuming that you live in America and this result is in nanograms per milliliter, and that this is done with an IDEX machine or equivalent, then that's 15.4 is the right time to be AIing. And to AI twice 2 days apart is a good practice anyway. Rallo Ladiv says, hello James, I love your incubator. Hey, well thanks, it's amazing, but also my dog is on day 61 of a pregnancy. Well, thanks for buying our incubator, we appreciate that, and you're getting prepared, good for you. I went to do a progesterone test today and it came back as a 5. From your experiences, how many days do you think it will be to drop below 2? Yep, I get this a lot. So here's the problem. The rate of drop on progesterone is so varied. I'll give you an example. We had a litter here last month, and we knew that we were very close and we were wondering whether or not we were going to make the night or not. Did a progesterone test and the level was 16. So it's like, okay, everybody go to bed, we think we're okay. And then the next morning she's starting to do some nesting and panting, take a progesterone test, and it was 2.6. So we ran off to the vet, had a C-section done, and everything was fine. But the point here is 16 to a 2.5 in like 15 hours. So there you go. So all I can tell you is this: if the level is above a 3, we don't know whether she's 3 days out, 1 day out, we don't know. If her level is 3 or less, we know that she's less than 2 days out and you can safely do a C-section. So that's it on that one. DUI whelping box. Somebody says, Fatma, excuse me, God, Fatman, Fatma, Al moment, sorry about that, Fatma. What other materials could I use instead of a plastic sheet? I'm afraid it will catch fire for the puppies will chew it. We're talking about the bottom of the cage, that if you don't have a floor and you're going to use our heating system, you need a floor. And so there's a product called Coroplastic It's what people like Durawalt make their whole cages out of. It's about $20 for a 4x8 sheet. You can cut it with a box knife, and it works great. And I've never had anybody reporting back that a dog has tore it up. It's pretty stout stuff. But if you don't like that and you want to have something that's really stout, go get yourself some tin. Go to a metal shop and have them bend up a piece of tin, make a metal tray for you, because I guarantee that the heat will come through that. The thing you've got to do here is you've got to pay attention to the fact that you want to make sure that the heat can come through the bottom of the floor. So you want something that's either fairly thin or a good conductor. Can you guess?
Oh. Get it over on this.
Yeah, that'll work. So here's the last one. All right, that's a question here. My Frenchie's ovulation was at day 20. AI was done day 21 and 23. 6 weeks later, 2 confirmed pups, possibly 3. Currently on week 7, going to final X-ray in a few days. Well, no, I guess there isn't a question there. Well, that all sounds very reasonable. But I mean, you know, we've got a video on exactly how to watch the whole timing thing in terms of temperature and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, that's it for this session. Thanks for watching. Everybody good to their doggies. Everybody have a good weekend. Bye, buddy.